My family banned me from my brother's wedding. I went on vacation. When the wedding fell apart. My name is Ensley Carter, and on the day my younger brother was supposed to say I do in front of 250 guests at Denver's most exclusive mountain resort, I was sitting cross-legged on a wooden pier in the heart of Yellowstone National Park, watching the sunrise paint the lake in shades of gold. My phone was deliberately switched off, buried deep in my backpack. Just 3 days earlier, my family had officially banned me from Tyler's wedding. Not just demoted from best woman, not moved to regular guest, completely excluded. And so, instead of standing awkwardly in sage green silk beside a brother who told me I was ruining his perfect day, I drove to Wyoming with nothing but a duffel bag, a wounded heart, and a fierce determination to finally choose myself first. I remember that morning so vividly. The way the early mist danced across the water, the crisp mountain air filling my lungs, and the profound stillness I felt for the first time in months. I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't furious. I was just free. People always say cutting ties with family is selfish. That walking away is cowardice. But I've discovered something different. Choosing your sanity over life built on constantly proving your worth isn't weakness, it's survival. What I couldn't have known then, as I sipped black coffee with 2 hikers I'd just met at the lodge, was that the wedding I'd been cast out of, shamed and silenced for asking the wrong questions, was already crumbling without me there to hold it together. And when I finally powered my phone back on 4 days later, they weren't just calling. They were pleading. Before you hear the whole story behind that moment, if you've ever been the family scapegoat, the one who gets blamed for caring too much, the one who's expected to smile while being stabbed in the back, leave a comment below. I'm not sharing this for sympathy, but because maybe somewhere out there, you felt exactly what I felt that morning. Now, let me take you back to where this nightmare truly began. Growing up in Boulder, Colorado, Tyler and I looked like the perfect siblings. Our parents, Robert and Linda Carter, were those suburban overachievers who had matching Christmas sweaters and planned family ski trips with military precision. From the outside, everything seemed ideal. A craftsman house with mountain views, lacrosse practice, matching holiday photos. But inside our home, there was a quiet poison nobody wanted to acknowledge. I was the dependable one. The straight-A student who tutored struggling classmates and kept a perfectly organized planner. I earned a full scholarship to University of Colorado, graduated summa cum laude with a degree in environmental engineering, and landed a dream job at a renewable energy company in Boulder before I turned 24. I paid off my student loans in 4 years, bought my own townhouse, never missed a family dinner, never caused drama. And Tyler? Tyler was golden. Tyler was everything I wasn't, effortlessly charming, naturally athletic, the kind of person who could talk his way out of anything with that trademark Carter smile. He was always late, always broke, always just one phone call away from his next crisis. And yet, everyone adored him, especially our parents. When he flunked out of Colorado State during his sophomore year, they called it finding his path. When he crashed Dad's truck after a night of drinking, it was a learning experience. When he got fired from 3 different construction jobs, Mom blamed unreasonable supervisors. I watched it all unfold with growing resentment that I was too well trained to voice. The patterns were everywhere once I started noticing them. When Tyler missed curfew in high school, he got lectures about responsibility. Then Dad would slip him $20. When I was 10 minutes late from study group, I lost car privileges for a week. If I questioned anything, I was being too analytical or creating problems. If Tyler had an emotional breakdown, he was sensitive and going through a tough time. I kept my mouth shut and kept being the one who showed up. I helped Tyler move apartments 6 times in 3 years. I co-signed his car loan when his credit tanked. I answered his panicked calls at midnight when his latest girlfriend dumped him, always ready with tissues and reassurance. The dynamic was so deeply embedded that I barely questioned it anymore. Until the engagement happened. Tyler met Brittany Walsh at some craft brewery opening downtown that he only attended because I'd encouraged him to network. She was 5 years older, a real estate agent who drove a white BMW and wore designer everything. When he proposed after just 4 months with a ring that cost more than my car, our entire family acted like we'd won the lottery. My parents were over the moon. Brittany had connections. She knew city council members, through charity galas, belonged to the country club. She's exactly what Tyler needs, Mom gushed during Sunday dinner. Someone to help him reach his potential. I tried to be supportive at first, even when red flags started appearing like warning flares. Brittany would correct Tyler's stories in front of people, making him look foolish. She'd roll her eyes when he got excited about his hobbies and make cutting remarks like, maybe save the comic book talk for your guy friends. She controlled his social media accounts and monitored his texts during family dinners. The breaking point came during a barbecue at my parents' house. Tyler mentioned wanting to go back to school for graphic design, something he'd always been passionate about. Brittany laughed coldly and said, "Honey, we've talked about this. You need to focus on real career opportunities, not art projects." That night, I called Tyler privately. "Are you happy?" I asked him directly. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like she's trying to turn you into someone you're not. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then he said quietly, "She just wants me to be better." "Tyler, you don't need to be better. You need to be yourself. The right person will love that." His voice turned sharp. "Easy for you to say. You've never had anyone love you enough to want to improve you." That cut deep, but not as deep as what came next. Within days, I started getting frozen out of wedding planning. Group texts stopped including me. Venue visits happened without me. When I asked Mom about it directly, she said, "Brittany feels like you're being negative about the engagement. Maybe give them some space." The invitations were already ordered. The caterer was booked. And at a family dinner one evening, Tyler stood up and handed me a small gift box. Inside was a silver bracelet engraved with Best Woman and a note that read, "Thank you for always being my person." For one shining moment, I thought maybe this was our chance to reconnect, to bridge the growing distance between us. But I was wrong, because within weeks, my role started disappearing. Plans were made without consulting me. My input was ignored or dismissed. A professional coordinator, hired by Brittany's mother, began treating me like an afterthought. Still, I stayed. I kept showing up, kept trying, kept swallowing my concerns, until the day Tyler sat me down in a crowded coffee shop and told me I was no longer needed. Actually, told me I wasn't welcome at all. The coffee shop was one of those trendy places downtown, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs. I thought we were meeting to discuss bachelor party plans, something normal, brotherly. But the moment I saw Tyler's face, pale and determined, I knew something was terribly wrong. "Ensley," he began, fidgeting with his phone case, "Brittany and I have been talking about the wedding." "Okay," I said carefully. "What's up?" "We think." He paused, took a breath. "We think it might be better if you weren't part of the wedding party." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What do you mean?" "Brittany's sister Courtney is flying in from Phoenix, and family should come first, you know? She's going to be my best woman instead." I stared at him, searching his face for any sign of the brother I'd grown up with. "Tyler, I'm your sister. I am family." He couldn't meet my eyes. "It's just, you've been really negative about Brittany from the start. It's causing stress." "I've been concerned," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "There's a difference." His jaw tightened. "See? Right there. That attitude. Brittany deserves support, not judgment." The conversation that followed was a blur of accusations and hurt feelings. Tyler claimed I'd never given Brittany a fair chance, that I was jealous of his happiness, that I couldn't handle not being the center of attention anymore. I tried to explain that my concerns came from love, that I just wanted him to be truly happy, but every word I spoke seemed to make him angrier. "You know what, Ensley," he finally said, standing up abruptly. "Maybe it's better if you don't come to the wedding at all. I can't have you there radiating disapproval on the most important day of my life." I sat there in stunned silence as my brother walked out of the coffee shop, leaving me with 2 untouched lattes and a shattered heart. When I called my parents that evening, I expected shock, outrage, demands for explanation. What I got was careful neutrality wrapped in diplomatic language. "Sweetheart," Mom said, her voice strained, "this is Tyler's day. If he needs space, maybe we should respect that." "He uninvited me from his wedding," I said, barely able to get the words out. "Your daughter. His sister." "It's probably just pre-wedding stress," Dad chimed in from the background. "You know how Brittany's family is. They've put a lot of money into this event. We can't risk any drama." "So that's it?" I asked. "I just accept being thrown away." There was a long pause before Mom said, "Try to see it from their perspective, honey. This is their special day." That night, I lay awake staring at my bedroom ceiling, feeling like I was drowning in the realization that I'd spent my entire life being the family problem solver, peacekeeper, and emotional caretaker, only to be discarded the moment I became inconvenient. For 2 weeks, I told myself I'd find a way to make peace with the situation. Maybe I'd send a gift and a heartfelt note. Maybe I'd plan to be out of town so it wouldn't be awkward. Maybe, somehow, Tyler would come to his senses and call to apologize. Then, at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Brittany herself. "Hi Ensley. Just wanted to make sure you weren't planning to show up at the venue on Saturday. Security has your photo just in case. Thanks for understanding. 2 hearts." I stared at that message for 20 minutes, reading it over and over until the words blurred. Security had my photo. They were treating me like a potential threat at my own brother's wedding. That was the moment something inside me stopped trying to fix things and started focusing on survival. The morning after Brittany's text, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. My mind wasn't racing or spiraling. It was perfectly, eerily calm. When my phone rang with Mom's number, I let it go to voicemail. Her message was predictable. "Honey, I'm sure this will all blow over after the wedding. Tyler's just overwhelmed right now." I deleted the message and opened my laptop. Within 2 hours, I had booked a solo road trip through Wyoming and Montana, ending at a rustic lodge near Yellowstone's northeast entrance. I used the exact amount I'd been saving for Tyler's wedding gift, $800, that was supposed to buy them some fancy cookware set from their registry. When I called my parents to tell them I wouldn't be in Colorado for the wedding, wouldn't even be in the state, Mom sounded genuinely shocked. "You're leaving? But what if Tyler changes his mind?" "He made his choice very clear," I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "I'm finally listening." "But Ensley, family is forever. You can't just run away from problems." "I'm not running from problems, Mom. I'm running from people who create problems and then blame me for existing." The drive to Wyoming took 8 hours, and with each mile between me and Denver, I felt lighter. I rolled the windows down, played music too loud, and stopped at random roadside diners just because I could. No one was expecting me anywhere. No one was counting on me to fix anything. No one could text me about wedding emergencies or family drama. The lodge was perfect. Rustic log cabins scattered around a pristine lake, no cell service, no Wi-Fi, just silence and space and the kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. I checked into my cabin, a cozy space with a stone fireplace and a deck overlooking the water, and immediately put my phone in the small safe by the bed. I locked it away and pocketed the key. For the first time in my adult life, I was completely unreachable. I spent the next 3 days hiking mountain trails, reading books I'd been meaning to finish for months, and having long conversations with fellow travelers around the lodge's fire pit each evening. There was Marcus, a retired teacher from Vermont, and Catherine, a photographer from Oregon who was documenting national parks. They didn't know my story, didn't know about Tyler or Brittany or the wedding drama. To them, I was just Ensley, a woman on vacation who laughed easily and asked thoughtful questions about their travels. On the day of Tyler's wedding, I scheduled a sunrise hike to the top of a nearby peak. As the sun painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, I sat on a boulder overlooking miles of untouched wilderness and whispered, "I hope he's happy, but I don't regret being here." And I meant it completely. 3 days after the wedding, I retrieved my phone from the safe. It vibrated for a solid minute with notifications, missed calls, voicemails, text messages piling up like an avalanche. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through the chaos. 47 missed calls. 62 text messages. Multiple voicemails from Mom, Dad, even my cousin Rachel, who I barely talk to anymore. The first text from Dad, timestamped the morning after the wedding. "Tyler called it off. We need to talk." Another from Mom. "Brittany lied about everything. It's bad, Ensley. Really bad." My hands started shaking as I opened the voicemails, piecing together what had happened through their frantic messages. At the rehearsal dinner, Brittany's maid of honor had made a seemingly innocent comment about how lucky Tyler was to land someone so financially stable. Tyler, confused, had asked what she meant. Brittany deflected, changed the subject, but Tyler pressed for answers. That's when everything unraveled. It turned out Brittany's successful real estate career was mostly fiction. She was drowning in debt, had been evicted from her apartment twice in the past year, and the BMW was about to be repossessed. The designer clothes were purchased on credit cards that were maxed out. Even worse, She'd been systematically isolating Tyler from anyone who might figure out the truth, starting with me. When Tyler confronted her that night, she exploded, screaming that he was ungrateful, that she'd been elevating him, that his family was beneath her standards anyway. She stormed out of the rehearsal dinner, and Tyler found her in the parking lot crying into her phone, begging someone named Derek to send more money and promising to pay him back after the wedding. Tyler called off the wedding at 6 a.m. the next morning. Brittany threatened to sue for wedding costs, then disappeared entirely when Dad mentioned calling the police about her threats. The final voicemail was from Tyler himself, his voice broken and small. "Ensley, I know I screwed up. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But you were right about everything, and I was too proud to listen. Please, please just call me back. I need my sister." I sat on my cabin's deck, watching the lake shimmer in the afternoon sun, and felt something unexpected, not vindication or satisfaction, but profound sadness. Not for Brittany or the collapsed wedding, but for the brother I'd lost long before this disaster, and for the years we'd wasted on this toxic dynamic. I didn't rush home. I didn't call back immediately or drop everything to fix the crisis. Instead, I extended my stay for 3 more days, spent time journaling about what I wanted this new chapter to look like, and prepared for the difficult conversations ahead. When I finally drove back to Colorado, I went to my own home first. I showered, unpacked, got a full night's sleep in my own bed. The next morning, I called Tyler. "Ensley." His voice was rough, like he'd been crying. "I'm back," I said. "Are you ready to have an honest conversation?" "God, yes. Can you come over? I'm at Mom and Dad's." "I'll be there in an hour." "But Tyler, things are going to be different this time." When I walked into my parents' house, the atmosphere was heavy with shame and regret. Tyler looked like he'd aged 5 years in a week, hollow-eyed, unshaven, deflated. Mom and Dad hovered nearby, uncertain and apologetic. Tyler stood up when he saw me, tears already streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "You tried to warn me, and I threw you away. I threw away the best person in my life because I was too scared to admit you were right." I hugged him, but when he tried to cling to me like nothing had changed, I gently pulled back. "I forgive you," I said. "But I need you to understand something. I'm not going back to being the person who disappears to keep everyone comfortable. I'm not going to be the family problem solver who gets blamed when things go wrong." "I understand," he said quickly. "I'll do whatever it takes." "This applies to all of you," I said, looking at my parents. "I love this family, but I won't be the emotional caretaker anymore. We're all going to learn how to communicate like healthy adults, or I'm going to keep my distance." Over the following months, we started family therapy. It was awkward, sometimes painful, but gradually honest. Tyler got individual counseling to work on his people-pleasing tendencies and his fear of confrontation. My parents began acknowledging the ways they'd enabled toxic dynamics and failed to protect me when I needed them most. 6 months later, I hosted Thanksgiving dinner in my townhouse for the first time ever. It was small, simple, and genuine. Tyler arrived early to help cook, no drama, just quiet companionship and honest conversation. When my parents knocked on the door, they came with gratitude instead of expectations. After dinner, as we cleaned up together, Tyler pulled me aside. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for not giving up on us, but also for not giving up on yourself. I never want to be the person who makes you choose between your peace and your family again." I looked around at the table I'd set, the boundaries I'd drawn, the new relationship we were slowly building, and realized the biggest change wasn't in them, it was in me. This time, I wasn't disappearing to keep the family together. I was staying, but on my own terms. And for the first time in my life, that felt like enough.